Join Magic Mike at RadioCare as you travel through the decades. 2 hours of great tunes, lots of trivia and friendly banter.
Hello and welcome to RadioCare. This is Mike Howard and a very different show tonight. We're going to be producing a sequence of podcasts, and we're very privileged tonight to have a lovely Pink Sarah with us, who's going to be talking about her spiritual journey and explaining a little bit to us about what it means to her and how she actually got into her journey. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you very much for having me.
So Sarah, when did it all start for yourself?
I've always been spiritual. Ever since I was a child, literally I had those imaginary friends, but I always felt like I was different to everybody else. I just had like this knowing, and just the way that I was when I was growing up, there was just something that I just couldn't put my finger on. So yeah, and then as I went on, I used to dream.
Okay.
I used to start dreaming things, and then they'd happen, and it was like, you know, that premonition sort of thing. It just came more and more and more, and then basically
So you always sort of felt there was something sort of different sort of about yourself, but you couldn't exactly sort of explain why you sort of felt different, or why things happened the way they did sort of for you with the dreams. Did you ever sort of get any sort of feelings of sort of presences or anything around you? Sort of, was it, you know, explain sort of how...
So basically I've always had that knowing, and I've always for instance, when I was in a house fire, basically as if someone pushed me and they woke me up, and I saved everybody basically, because whoever it was in spirit, which I believe to this day was my Auntie Jackie, she woke me up, and I call her my guardian angel, and if it wasn't for her we wouldn't be here.
Wow. How old had you been sort of when that happened?
I was quite old in that. I was about 17 when that happened to me. But there was other things that happened in my life, but I'm not, you know, I can't quite remember, if you know what I mean. I know that these things happened to me, and I just thought it was normal, if you know what I mean.
Because you didn't know any different.
Until I actually sat in I literally got on into a spiritualist church and literally found out, you know, what it's all about. So
when did you really sort of like decide, right, now I'm going to sort of like explore my spiritual journey, my spiritual sort of to expand and develop and become who you are? So basically I lost my mum, and then I lost my brother, and then my mother-in-law. My brother was murdered, and you know, I went through all that, and then I lost my home. And when I lost my home, I said to the universe, I said, that's enough, you know, no more. And then something changed inside me. I was like, I can't explain, as if to say, they've heard me, and that's it. And then from that moment on, I haven't looked back. I literally, I lost my home, and once I lost my home, and then I ended up where I am, and that's when I literally... I was looking in a newspaper. I literally just moved into the area. I didn't know nothing. Looking into one of the local newspapers, and there was an advert for an open circle at the church. And I was like, I'm going. I rang it up, and that's where it all started from for me. And that from that moment, I haven't looked back. So that first time that you actually went into the church, did you sort of feel like at home, or was it kind of, did you still feel a bit of an outsider coming in, or did you settle in fairly quickly? Do you know what? I didn't know what I was going to expect. No. Literally, I got in there. As soon as we sat down, we done an opening prayer, and she done a meditation. It's as if she turned off on a switch. Okay. And I'm literally, from that moment, I've literally tried to slow things down with the way that I've opened up, but it's like as if I've had it. Everything that I was doing already in my life, but knowing that intuition, just listening to things, what are happening and what are coming. Literally, it's turned on that switch to say, this has been happening my whole life. Yeah. And that's from when I haven't looked back, you know. But to put it all into context of what being spiritual is, and what I was. Yeah. If I look at a picture now of myself, I'm not that same person. Okay. When I actually started opening up more and more and more, I actually found the real me. You know, there was that purpose, that love, that something. You know, that thing where I didn't know where I felt when I was younger. I literally found me, and that whole part of me. It doesn't matter if you've got a family, children. It was just finding that real self. And that's where it changed for me, and I do not regret anything in my life.
So if some, the listeners that sort of listen to the podcast, they're listening now, and I know for myself it's something that I'm interested in, and something that I want to develop. So someone like myself, where would you sort of like say to me to start to begin with? What should I be doing to sort of become involved to develop my sort of spiritual, I don't know, my abilities, or what, I don't know what the right word is really.
Okay, so basically I would suggest to you then it's about you connecting with yourself, okay, through meditation, for just sitting and just listening to what your soul has got to say to you, that higher message, because in life we get filled with all these illusions of way things should be done and what we should do and what we shouldn't, but really if we just need to listen to really what's really going on, it's like seeing people for what they really are and not what people, like seeing them as a real person, as love, as someone that's amazing, seeing the good in everyone, really.
Okay.
But also, in another hand, saying that if it doesn't feel right, like intuition, trust it. If that person is not right for you, then it's okay to walk away from that. If you know what I mean.
Okay.
So for me, if I was to say to someone, if you're out there, then you need to do some self work.
Okay.
So sit with in meditation. What's the things that need healing in your life? Work on those things, because the more you meditate, the more that you connect with yourself, the more you realise, how much stuff you've been doing over and over and over, and all those things that you thought you had healed will come back up. You cannot give to others unless you're healed yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, I would encourage you to go to a church.
Okay.
Maybe watch a few demonstrations of spiritualist church. See how people do it. All mediums are different. No one works in the same way. Just like we are as people, we're all unique and individual in our way. I would suggest that you go out there and see what it's like, and if it's for you. But it could be just a personal thing at first, doing, like, for me, I go on YouTube, connect with your spiritual guide, or your higher self. There's loads of meditations on there, and that's how it started for me. For instance, like one with the church, and then I would go meditate at home, and I literally was doing a meditation once, and I saw my niece's niece, and she was pregnant, like the 3D scan, and I'm like, Lucy pregnant? Like, no, never, because she was quite young at the time. And I said to my sister, is Lucy pregnant? She goes, no. And then I later found out it was my dad's 70th birthday, and at that thing, she couldn't tell me what I was right, because it was a surprise for the birthday. So literally, that's so that verification is what it's all about.
And I imagine there's been a lot more things that have happened like that, sort of to yourself. Where you've either had the dreams, or through meditation you've actually sort of had the images sort of come up in your, almost playing it out like a story to you, like a film. I can imagine sort of in your mind.
It's like something happened to my brother. I saw my brother being tortured in a dream.
It's been horrific
and I couldn't get hold of him, and I was like panicking. I hadn't spoken to him for about 3 months, and then he contacted me, and he literally turned around and said, this had happened to him before I'd even said anything, and I'd literally dreamt it, so I was desperate to find him, but I'd already know. So listening to that higher self, that intuition, and them dreams is important. There's always a message within our dreams in that in that subconscious state. So if you're dreaming about something quite repetitive, maybe maybe there's a message in there. Start writing them down, because there's probably something there that's coming out for you. But it's just like that saying, when you think about someone and then the phone rings and it's that person, it's the same principle, but it's that knowing. But on a spiritual side, I went to fledglings evenings, right? So doing loads of fledgling evenings, going to different churches and getting up on stage, and just the practice. It don't just happen. You don't just imagine you're a medium and you get on stage. It's literally, you have to practice. You can't just,
Okay, so explain fledglings to me.
Okay, so fledglings is like where you're practicing medium. Okay, so you're standing up in front of an audience and you're connecting with spirit. You know, once you've learned how to connect, open up to spirit, and then you're standing up and you're giving message from a loved one in spirit.
Okay.
But it's not just about it's giving the love, it's giving that evidence of survival, and it's giving that message, you know, that message, that healing, you know, and that's what it's all about.
Okay, because I have been to sort of a spiritualist church sort of recently, and I've noticed at the beginning of the service there's always an opening prayer, and then there may be some sort of reading, not necessarily sort of biblical, but it could be I don't know, sort of a philosophical type of sort of a reading. How do you prepare for something like that?
Yeah, see, for me, if I'm going to work, I literally will meditate all day. You know, I do certain different meditations. I do ones where I clear in my chakras. I do lots of chakra work. Then I do just a healing meditation, maybe. It depends on what I'm feeling. And then I'll just sit in my power. So sitting in the power is similar to meditation, but it's literally just listening to music, but not being guided. Okay. So, and just listening to what spirit... Sometimes I get spirit coming in before that, but I don't like them to come before I work, because by the time I get there it could have changed, if you know what I mean. So I'll wait till I get that connection with that person that's come. But you know, but for instance, you do need an opening prayer, and I always speak from the heart, and I feel that's the only way that you can. If you do it from the heart, if you do it with love, I feel you're doing it for the right intention.
So you don't necessarily write something down and have it prepared.
Not
you
on
actually...
the prayer, no.
Okay.
I always do it from the heart, and then and then you do a reading. Yeah. For me, I like to do motivational or uplifting readings. It's definitely always philosophy if you're doing it. It depends on the service. So, for instance, a Sunday is normally a divine service. And then you do the mediumship. Yep. So I'm literally, then you get up and then you give your evidence and proof of survival with message and love, really.
And I suppose you have to feed off, because as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to sort of feed off the energy in the room. That, you know, that's how a lot of it is about energy, isn't it? Yeah,
basically it's everything that we are and everything that we do is energy. So for me, I don't know why, but Spirit give me these words. I have to blend your energy. Okay. Every time I have to say that before I connect with someone, as if Spirit are giving me that permission to connect. I don't know why, but that's my word. It gets a bit tedious actually, but I have to say it. And then I'll blend that energy, and then that's when their loved ones will step through, and I can give them evidence and healing and love.
So when you connect with your guide, do you have just one guide, or do you have several guides that you work with?
As you go along the journey, you have different guides that will come in. I feel my first guide was an angel. I used to work with Archangel Uriel at the beginning, and then I got an angel, I call her Angel Emily, and literally she used to work with me. But when I first connected with her, it was like looking at myself when I was young. So I feel like she's been with me my whole life. You know, she's been that one. And then as I've gone on, I've got like my Buddha guide, I've had a Indian guide, you know. So as you go along, they come in for different teachings. If you get me, you'll see that as if you go on a journey, how it works for you. You know, some people have psychic guides, you know, if they're working with tools and stuff like that. But they all work together, but in a different way. So, but if things go wrong, I always get up, go to sit in my power or sit in meditation and say, what's gone wrong? What have I done? And most of the time it's 10 out of 10, it's me. It's literally me getting in the way.
So, you know, someone that's already sort of, they've started their journey, and, you know, today in society, people are very sort of impatient and they want things to happen sort of immediately. And I would imagine sort of when you're developing, you know, on your spiritual journey, you know, it's not an overnight thing. You've got to work hard at it. I can't really sort of, how long would you say it would take someone, or does that just depend on the individual really?
So basically, we all can be mediums. You know, we're all mediums. We can be mediums. Anyone could be a medium. But I feel like unless you are in that right place, you can't be that medium. You can't be that person of giving love. You know, but for me, I don't think it's not an overnight thing. I think it takes practice, and then all of a sudden you'll know. You know, you'll know when it's the right time, for instance, to go on your own, or, you know, then you class yourself as medium. I've been doing it for nearly 12 years, and I still sometimes don't class myself as a medium. I'm just Pink Sarah, you know. I just do it because what I give out, I get back. So that love, I get back. That healing, I get back. Yeah. And I'm grateful for my gift. And if we could all have that little bit of gift, that love, and that, you know, what a different world we'd live in.
Absolutely, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming to the end of this first podcast. If there's any listeners that have got any questions for Pink Sarah, you can find us or contact us on the Facebook RadioCare, hosted by Mike Howard page. Or if you click onto Spotify link, you can actually click on the contact link on there, and I'll get an email and I can pass any messages on to Sarah. I'd like to invite Sarah back sort of to talk more in depth over the sort of next couple of weeks and months. So if you've got any questions, please do get in touch with us. So Sarah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very
tonight.
much for having me.
And we'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
RadioCare is presented by DJ Magic Mike, broadcasting in the UK. If you like great music, you're in the right place.